Hello, everybody, and I just want to first of all say it is a beautiful day, isn't it,
It's
Leslie?
so nice outside.
It is, and so we live in Arizona, and we're coming to a close as far as nice, cool days. So
Right.
you gotta enjoy it now. I'm here with Leslie Reprogle,
Hi, everybody. Yes.
and she is the CEO and co-founder of Agape Adoption Agency of Arizona. And it stands for the most amazing agency in the sense that you help save kids and you help save the lives of families who want them and you match them up just perfectly. And that takes work. And that's why people need adoption agencies like yours.
That's true. Yes.
So tell us what you guys do. What does Agape do?
Well, what we do is we try to bring hope and restoration. A lot of times, people who experience pregnancy when they don't mean to get pregnant, a crisis pregnancy, it feels like they're all alone, and they feel like they don't have options. They feel like they don't have a choice. They feel like they don't have a voice. On the flip side, we've got mothers and fathers out there who want to have children, who are not able to conceive biologically, and who just really want to share their home and their love with a waiting child. And so what Agape does is we bring those two parties together. In fact, when we talk about adoption, there's a triad, I can say it. There's a triad. Of course, there's the child, right? And then there's the birth parents, and then the adopting family. So when an adopting family comes to us, and this is one of the things we want adopting families to know, we work diligently with them to train them for the adoptive experience. We teach them about what it means to be an adoptive family. We walk them through the home assessment process. We talk to them about how to engage respectfully with the birth parents. We provide them with counseling if they are grieving infertility or any kind of loss. And that takes time. And so we really make an investment into the families that want to adopt. And at the same time, we have a staff that are investing in our birth parents. And we want them to know that from the first minute they connect with an Agape birth mom, we are committed to helping meet their needs. If they need help finding a place to stay, if they need help finding natural supports in their community, if they need help with just general resources, we are going to provide those to them so that the adoption journey can be as stress-free and joyful for everybody as possible.
And it ought to be. And do you take calls, just people who are not even sure? Like I'm thinking of they are in a crisis. Would you guys be, just accept the call and walk them through it? I mean, sometimes they just don't even know where to go.
It's true.
And so
Yes.
it's not like, they have to have a decision. They could just call you. Yeah.
That's exactly right. So if you're a birth parent and you're experiencing a crisis, we want you to give us a call at Agape. We are going to answer every phone call. And what we try to do is the same day or the next day, set up a meeting. And like you said, Marissa, there is no pressure. In fact, there's never any pressure to place. Our responsibility is to give people support and good information and hope so that they can be empowered to make the kinds of decisions that they want to make. And it's that way for the birth family, but also for the adopting families.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we say about adoption agencies. They're like people with personalities, right?
Right.
And just like when you were dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
You picked a spouse that was a good match for you, his personality and the things that he could offer you, right?
Yes.
And you guys were going to be partners. You've built this amazing family, you offer these great resources, and it's the same with agencies. And so when we have families that are interested in adopting and they call us, we don't say, oh, you're committed to work with us because you called us. They are encouraged to come in to talk with us, to find out more about how our program is structured and the supports that we offer, which are unique, by the way. I'll get into that in a second. And then if they want to move forward with us, we say, yay, move forward with us. And if they don't, that's okay.
What if they don't live in Arizona? This live stream goes all over the country. Yes. What are your thoughts there? I mean,
Okay, so we are licensed to provide supports to birth parents in Arizona. right now. We're exploring Nevada, but we're still in Arizona right now. But if you are an adopting family and you live outside of Arizona, you can still call us, because we will try to connect you with a reputable, really excellent agency in your area. And they can write your home study and get you approved for adoption in your state. And then they can join what we call our waiting families circle. And we can place children with parents in any state. And we do that not only by working with the parents, but also by partnering with their local providers. The second thing that we want families who are interested in adopting to know is that success comes in community. And so if we're in Arizona together, we're going to try to connect not only, again, our birth parents, but our adopting parents with supportive communities. If those are counselors who understand adoption, schools that are adoption friendly, any kind of resource, fundraising, because adoption can be expensive, then we're going to help with those connections in Arizona. But if they live in other states, we're still going to help them get connected to attorneys, to agencies, to national organizations that are supportive of adoption. Because, again, success comes in community when you're adopting.
So I'm thinking of the birth mother, and I'm thinking of the crisis that they face. And so other than giving their child up, there's the other option, abortion. Just your thoughts on, I mean, that's basically what, crisis pregnancy leads most parents to think. There's this and then there's this. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. There are actually 3 choices that every person experiencing crisis pregnancy has. And the first option, the first choice, right? You can parent.
Yes.
You can parent the child, right?
Right.
And so if we're working with a parent, with a birth mother, and they choose to parent, then we're going to talk to them about what that means. Because even when we say the word, I'm going to keep the baby, it makes it seem like something that happens right upon delivery, right? I keep the baby. But you and I, because we've parented for many, many years, know that being a parent is something that takes decades. And so we talk to them about what will it mean to parent a child to adulthood. So parenting is the first option. Terminating the pregnancy is the second option. And that feels like an immediate fix. And what we find is that a lot of women who choose to terminate the pregnancy experience unanticipated grief for a long time. And then because the discussion nationally that we're having about abortion or termination can get so mean and so toxic so quickly, when people are experiencing grief related to termination, they feel like they can't talk about it. They feel like they can't process it. And so it feels like a quick and easy fix, but then they carry that choice and any feelings of distress or grief about it for decades or years to come. I mean, that's what I did for 10 years, after I chose termination. That's one of the reasons that I get so excited about the third choice, which is adoption, because you can choose adoption and it gives you months to think about, is this something I want to do, right? And then for an agency like Agape, we are committed to building a strong adoption trial. And so we want our birth parents to meet the adopting families and to begin to build a supportive relationship that really we hope doesn't end after delivery and placement, right? And so adoption should be, I thought about this, I carried the child, I delivered the child, I loved this baby. I loved this baby so intensely and so passionately that I'm willing to place this baby in the care of another family so that he or she can live a wonderful, prosperous life. And I can know that this pregnancy ended in life and not death, because termination ends in death, right? And so you don't have the responsibilities of parenting forever, right? But you get to know that you did something that resulted in long-term life instead of instantaneous and sudden death.
Exactly. Leslie, just listening to you, and for those of you who are in that situation where you have to make a decision and you just don't know, I mean, listening to you, Leslie, gives me so much hope. Like, for people who are listening,
Right.
it doesn't even feel like a crisis after listening to this.
Right. And that's what we want people to know. Because crisis means I am powerless. This thing happened to me, and now all of the wheels are off the bus. And really, developing an adoption plan should be about getting the control back. And that's what we tell all of our clients is, let us help you build your bus.
Yes.
You're driving, but we're going to support you, and we're going to keep you on track, right? And again, because supportive adoption happens in a community, we hope that part of that community, if you're a parent who is interested in placing, we hope that that community can include the adopting family. And that's the third thing that we want people to know, is that open adoption can be a blessing for the birth parents, right? And we do this through a document called a post-adoption communication agreement. And it says, how am I going to know what happens to this baby after I place, or this child after I place? Is it going to be pictures and letters? Is it going to be, okay, I've adopted 2 children, right? Both open adoptions. My oldest child, we see his birth family, extended family all the time. We go to family reunions and birthday parties, and that's pretty rare. I mean, that's pretty extreme, open adoption, but it works for us.
Yes.
And then my youngest child who's adopted, we have a private Facebook page. And so I upload pictures, I upload messages, I upload videos, and that's how she chooses to stay connected. Some families choose to only send letters, 1 or 2 letters a year. Usually it's till the child turns about 3 years old, and then you can take another look and say, how do we want to continue this? But that gives a kind of, again, we're talking about the control that people who are in crisis can have. And so we're going to walk alongside you at Agape until the child is delivered and until you place. And even after that, we're going to give you information and support that you need to feel like, I don't know what's happening now, and the world is a crazy place. No, we still want you to know what's happening, and we want you to be connected and healthy and happy.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the parents who are considering adoption. Like you said, the finances can be tight. I mean, if there was anything that you would like to say to them, what would it be?
Okay, so I want them to know that adoption is expensive, but at Agape we actually try to keep it pretty reasonable. My husband and I are not wealthy people, and we adopted. We want other people to be able to adopt, but they're usually people who are interested in adopting are surrounded by families and friends who want to help them build their family. And we've had clients who have raised more than $20,000, right? And Agape is a 501c3, and so donations are tax deductible, and they can be designated to a specific adopting family. Some of our adopting families have had like big fundraisers in other states, right? Wow. Their friends or extended family will have like a huge banquet, and all the proceeds get donated, and they can do it online or write a check. There are tax credits available for adopting families, and so families interested in adoption should talk to their accountants. And there are organizations who provide interest-free loans for families who want to adopt. And so, between saving your money and the tax credits and the fundraising, it's definitely not out of reach.
Yes, it's so possible.
So possible.
So, and I'll just because I'm into really looking inside, just that self-awareness. What would you say to people who want to adopt, where we can check ourselves to make sure that we're in that healthy place when we are deciding, rather than maybe a desperate place? You know what I mean?
I absolutely know what you mean. Because a lot of times when we get to the point that we're considering adoption, it's because we've tried to have children biologically, and it just hasn't worked out. And so I think that it's important to think about adoption as a respectful process, right? We want to be respectful of the birth parent. We want to be respectful of the child that we're going to be parenting. And honestly, Marissa, if we're in a place where all we're thinking about is ourselves
Yeah.
and our grief and what we need and what we want, and we can't see beyond that pain,
Yes.
then we're not ready. We're not ready to adopt. And it's okay to grieve. And in fact, like I said, Agape works hand in hand with an independently licensed counselor who's been working with people who do adoption, both birth parents and adopting families, for more than 10 years. And so we can help people through that grieving process. But you talked about really knowing yourself. And so we need families that really want to adopt to be thoughtful and honest and intentional, right? And recognize that adoption is not just about the parent, and it's not just about getting that baby placed in your arms, right? It's about how are you going to be mindful and intentional about meeting this child's needs for the next 80 years. And when you're ready to do that, when you're ready to say, I am ready to be completely selfless, because that's what parenting is.
Yes, it is.
Right? And you and I are women of faith.
Yes.
And we love God, and we have a
Yes.
relationship with Jesus.
That's right.
And He set a perfect example for us. He gave everything
That's right.
to us so that we could have opportunities to live abundant lives. And that's what we want our parents to know. When you feel like you're in that place to be selfless and give yourself completely to make sure that a child has a beautiful life, then you're ready to adopt.
Wow. Oh, it makes me want to adopt.
Right? Come on. Let's do intake. We'll do intake next week.
Yeah,
just
no, I'm
kidding.
getting ready to be a grandparent is really what. So
Yay,
kids, if you're
congratulations.
watching, well, no, actually, I'm waiting.
Okay, not
I
yet.
want to be.
Not yet.
Yeah, I want to be. So Leslie, real quick, domestic versus international.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just touch up on that? And
Absolutely.
I know there's probably a lot to say, but in a
There
nutshell.
is. So international adoption is governed by an additional set of rules. It's called the Hague Convention, and the State Department gets involved. In addition to the assessment and home study that's required for domestic adoption, there are approvals that are required through the USCIS.
Okay.
And so international adoption takes probably between 8 and 12 months
Wow.
just to be ready to be matched.
Yes.
And then it's important that families be willing to identify which country they want to adopt from, because the requirements for adopting families differ dramatically by country. They need to be willing to go to that country and be there, sometimes for a week, sometimes longer. We had a placing program with Uganda. They changed their rules in 2016. They wanted families adopting to be there for a year.
Wow.
For a year. Right? And so there's been some talk about, does it really have to, so anyway. And so people who are interested in adopting internationally should contact a primary agency and talk with the primary agency about the requirements of the country that they want to be matched with. And then they should be prepared to have a 1 to 2 year journey
Wow.
before they're matched.
Okay.
And they should be prepared to spend upwards of $50,000 to $100,000. And domestic adoption can be done for closer to $20,000 to $40,000.
Yes. And we have a lot.
We have
right?
so many children, more than 100,000 every year that get adopted domestically.
Okay. And how many are out there waiting?
Oh my goodness. I think that for private adoption, just in Arizona, there are hundreds of children who get adopted every year. And then through foster care adoption, which is a whole other story that we're not
Yes.
talking about
Yes.
today, thousands and thousands are waiting to be matched with loving parents.
Exactly. And so, do you want to touch up on that, since that is a big deal, because that's also a service that your agency provides.
That's true. That's
Okay.
true. We've got a very robust foster care and foster to adopt program. And so it's different in that you need to understand the child welfare program. Our domestic adoption program is focused on infants. And so usually people are matched before the baby's born. And they're bringing the baby home usually from the hospital on the private domestic program. foster to adopt, the children have had to be removed from their biological parents because the state determined that they were not being parented safely. So there are times when infants are being placed in foster care. Maybe they were drug exposed. But the bulk of children who are available for adoption in foster care are older children. And they're children with histories of abuse and neglect. And so the families who adopt children from foster care really need to be ready to understand best practices for parenting children that have histories of abuse and neglect. Honestly, a lot of people have histories of abuse and neglect.
Yes.
So there are a lot of people out there who want to adopt, and you're a perfect match because you've survived some abuse and neglect. And so consider adopting from foster care, because here's the great news. Adopting from foster care is free financially. It's free financially, right? Because the state is invested in making sure that the children have happily ever afters. And so you're not going to spend $20,000 to $40,000, right? But you are going to be adopting an older child and really working to understand that child's history and needs. So there are pros and cons to both. My husband and I, both of the children we adopted were adopted from foster care.
Yeah, we have so many. I know in Arizona, it's endless, right? And so there's a lot of fear with that, but it's probably a fear that is, it needs to be told. So what do, I know you brushed up on it a little bit, but what do those parents really need to know if they're going to foster, adopt, or even foster children? What is the one thing?
The one thing that they need to know? If people are interested in adopting through foster care, the one thing that they need to know is that they are going to be partnering and walking alongside the state of Arizona. And so you're going to be taking state-mandated classes about child welfare. The children that you're matched with are going to have case managers. They're going to be visiting your home every single month. There are going to be ongoing court appointments every 6 to 9 months to give the court updates on how the children are doing. And most of the children who are placed in foster care have a case plan of reunification. Right?
Okay.
Older children have a case plan of adoption. And so a lot of the children have case plans of adoption are probably 7 and older. But younger children have a case plan of reunification. And so what we want families to understand is that you should pour yourself out completely selflessly to the children you're caring for, understanding that those children might be reunified with their parents, with their biological parents, if the biological parents can care for them safely. So it's an informed risk. But again, as women of faith, what a ministry, right? What a ministry to know that you changed a child's life because you kept that child safe for 6 months or 9 months or 18 months. Right? And what a way to restore hope in the life of a biological parent who maybe that biological parent was addicted to drugs, self-medicating because they thought the world was a mean, terrible place.
Right.
And here you are showing them that there are people in the community who care and are willing to help. It's just foster care and adoption from foster care is a beautiful experience, and people don't have to be afraid of it. It can be great. Take it from me.
Yes, and there will be support. I mean, it sounds
So
like
much
there's
support.
so much support available. They just need to tap into it.
Absolutely. So in addition to working with the state, you're going to have an agency that's going to give you a family specialist to walk alongside you
All throughout.
all throughout,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
To advocate for you, to help you understand all of the things that are going on in the child welfare system. So yeah, there are a lot of supports built in to the foster care and adoption from foster care experience.
But it's not easy. I have some friends, and I will admit, and they are they're beautiful people, but like you said, a lot of the foster kids come with some baggage.
Right.
And so, how would you encourage us, especially those who already fostering or foster adopt? How would you encourage us to move forward?
Oh my goodness. So, when we talked about birth parents, we talked about giving them voice and choice. And children who are in foster care have experienced tremendous trauma. They've got attachment deficits. They are afraid to be loved because they've been hurt by the people they love. And so that's why we see a lot of their behaviors. And so this is what I say to families who are fostering and their children are presenting with really challenging behaviors. And it's just like, why did I do this, right?
Yes.
Right? Some foster families are, why did I do this?
Yes. They're starting to doubt.
They really are.
You know.
They really
Yeah.
are. So to the extent that it's possible, help your foster children understand that they have voice and that they have choice in your home. You have to parent children with histories of trauma differently. There's a wonderful resource called AZ127. There's a trauma-informed parenting modality. It's called trust-based relational intervention that gives tremendous insight into parenting children from hard places. And the AZ127 and Agape can help foster parents who are struggling connect with resources that are specifically designed to support families caring for children that are presenting with difficult behaviors. So the supports are out there. If you reach out to us, we'd be happy to help you find them.
Yes, and you will find the link in the description. It'll take you directly to the website of Agape Adoption Agency of Arizona. And again, it doesn't matter if you don't live in Arizona. They will be more than willing to help you with whatever question you have. As we wrap up, anything that maybe we need to touch on, anything that you want to add?
Marissa, you have done such a great job of asking me questions. I'm trying to think of...
Well, you've done a great job of answering them, and that's why we went longer than I wanted.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, everybody.
But hopefully it's everything they need to know. I mean, now they know everything.
I hope that they
Right?
do. And if they don't, they can reach out to you or they can reach out to us, and we'd be happy to support you on your journey.
Absolutely. And what I'm really super excited about is Leslie's going to put together a course on the 5 things adoptive parents should know, or if you're thinking of adopting. But I think we'll probably expand that because in light of everything we just said, oh my gosh, I could see courses